What's up, everyone? We're at a beautiful backyard on this project, and we are going to be redoing that old waterfall along the side of the pool. It used to be a small little koi pond, and we're turning it into a pondless waterfall with a lot of flow. There will be two different spillways coming from the top. We'll be using an Aquascape 6000 biofall as well as an Aquascape 22-inch spillway. The pump for this feature is going to be an Aquascape 12 PN on 3-inch line, so we're going to have tons of flow. One thing that I really love about this project is that right there, that retaining wall, that is actually a little spillway hooked up to the pool, flowing into the pool. That's gonna look like one waterfall with multiple views when we're finished. We'll also have different plantings in the background. We're gonna go a slight bit higher. I can't wait to get started, but we have a lot to pull apart today. And then tomorrow we'll get the basin in and start building a beautiful waterfall.
Are you ready?
Here's the old pond. You see here, we have the old Aquascape Classic skimmer, another classic skimmer over there, and then a standard biofall up top. All that will be ripped out and replaced. The old pumps we're gonna save for the homeowner. He might wanna use them somewhere else in the future, so they're always good to have. In this space right here, we're gonna have 10 large aqua blocks going in, a pump vault, and like I said, that 12 PN pump. Most of that plant material I talked about before is gonna be ripped out because our access is through the fence on the other side, and we're gonna be coming in with smaller machines to leave a lighter footprint. So we're using the back edge of the property here to move our material into the backyard. In the truck that Raphael's driving right now is all the Aquascape material needed to build this project. A lot of time, the job sites that I get sent on here at Garden State Koi are tricky access or crazy elevation changes. And this one here is definitely some tricky access. I showed you what it looked like from the front side. Well, this is what it looks like from the back. We have to move machines in through the fence here. We do not have much space, but it looks like once we get in here and remove some plant material, we should be pretty good. We're pulling out the different plants from behind the existing waterfall. Right now we got a nice hydrangea, digging out with a nice big hole, putting some fabric down and making a nice ball around each plant. We'll place those over in the shade and give them a little bit of water, and they should be good to go to replant when the project is finished. So that big maple tree that was behind the old biofall is now pulled out of the ground. Between the excavator and the NT100, we were able to get it out with a nice big root ball, which is really important. This tree here is going to replace one on the other side of the pool that has gotten a disease over time. I'm trying to get around the back side of the pool, and I'm bushwhacking with the Kubota so I can get to where that tree is right in front of me over there. That's the one we're going to be replacing. Nice little drop off to my right here, but at least the ground is solid up this way because it's a swampy down below. So I got the machine back here, and we're gonna replace that dead maple there. It's diseased with the one that we just pulled out, and hopefully they have better luck with that one. We're gonna get into the ground right now because even though it's September right now, the temperatures are in the 90s, which is uncommon for this time of the year. And this kind of heat could really stress a tree during transplant. So as we're taking apart the pond, we're using some of the rock from inside the pond here and waterfall for the back outcropping to start building a retaining wall. Our ultimate elevation is almost close to 5 feet, so we gotta get that waterfall up there pretty quickly. Thank God we have a lot of depth in the back to allow for a ledge for some planting so you can hide that fence, but everything seems to be moving along nicely. So we're at midday number 1 here on demolition of this old waterfall and pond, and we're moving along really nicely. We got over, I would say, 80% of the rock out of the hole, and we're about to take lunch. We also set some rock in the distance for the back retaining wall and for the waterfall. Once all this is out of here, we'll be able to get the basin in this afternoon, and thank gosh we've been in the shade. But behind us, you can see the sun's moving in, and it is really hot out here. We're in the 90s, like I said before, in September. It's really not common for this. We're normally in the fall weather, but I would take this any day over the snow because that will be here before you know it. That liner is out of the hole, and it's perfect because now the hole is big enough for us just to add sand, to level it out, dig an area for that pump vault over there in the corner behind Raphael, and then we can get all our materials in the hole like our underliner, our liner, and our aqua blocks and pump vault. After that's done, we'll hit our goal for today because early tomorrow morning we have a nice load of rock coming, so we have the pick for this nice waterfall along this poolside. So this is how we're starting off day 2 here. Fixing the MT100, it popped the track, and now we gotta loosen up the tensioner and get the track back on the machine. I had to run the good old faithful Home Depot this morning, pick up an 1.5-inch wrench because I did not have one. We have one with the other MT52, but never had to do this on the MT100 yet, so you should always be prepared. But a little bit of a 10-minute stop, I was able to pick up the right tools to get the job done. So remember that excavator we got from Warwick Rental yesterday? We needed that because we wanted to put some larger rock. We're gonna utilize some flatter stones so they weigh less, but standing on edge will look like a big boulder face. We're trying to get some dramatic drops here along the poolside, so rocks of this caliber were definitely needed for this waterfall. So we're strapping up the first rock this morning, and it's a large frame boulder. Unfortunately, the small MT100 will not be able to move these up to this site, and I'll have to go back and forth. While I'm taking care of that with the guys, I have Raphael working on that 12-pin pump over there. I want to make sure we have everything we need to get it into the pump vault, whether it's today or tomorrow, but I want to have it in there by the end of the day tomorrow. Looks like we have another baby snapper in the swimming pool, and Raphael's to the rescue here. Check out that little guy. It's not good in the pool, so we're gonna go put him in the woods. So we're almost at lunchtime on day 2 here. We got the area filled in between here on the basin and that wall. We still left access for that spillway that pours into the pool. We'll probably put an irrigation box here, so if they need to access that cap for the winter time for draining, they can do so. Got a nice frame boulder right over here, right in between those two guys right there on the outside. That is actually here. We just flipped it up in the position. And right now we're just getting ready to set another boulder right where Alicio is. Be that one there with the newer strap. That'll sit on the outside. And then this boulder here will sit right in here as a frame boulder. We just set that boulder right there with the moss all over it, as well as this boulder here where that level is. We're now placing a boulder in between those two large rocks right there to give us something to fill that void. We're gonna stick our liner on the backside, flip everything forward and fill it up with soil. We have Felipe coming with a truckload of soil, and then tomorrow we have a big truck of soil so we can finish the backside of this mound. At this point right now, we're putting in the second piece of liner. Raphael is cutting a U shape in that second piece of liner, that 20 by 20 that we just put in here. The liner's a little large, but we want to make sure we have enough to complete the backside of this waterfall. And if we want water dropping in different areas, we have plenty of liner to work with. The reason for cutting that U shape out of the liner is that we don't have a bunch of folds in the middle. We'll take this liner and fold it forward, and then fold the liner down below forward as well, and then backfill behind those large boulders we set earlier today with soil. As long as the overlap there in between those two is greater than 5-6 inches, you do not need to seam the liner together. A simple overlap is totally adequate. So right now, Felipe and Alicio, they're backfilling behind those two pieces of liner. And what that'll do is keep that bottom liner standing up straight. Before, we used a couple pieces of tape just to make sure it stays up while we have this process going on. So when we flip everything back, the liners are perfect. The last thing we want is that bottom liner to fall down below and not have the overlap of 5 inches or greater like we talked about earlier. Since we got that liner in place and everything's backfilled and compacted, we're gonna start raising up this retaining wall on the backside of the pondless waterfall. This giant slab of rock standing on end will give us some nice vertical height, as well as not take up too much space front to back, which is important in this tight situation. We want to make sure we have enough room for plants behind the Signature Series biofall. You may ask why we're using a biofall instead of a spillway. We are using a spillway also for a second waterfall, but we wanted to have a pooling area as the headway of this waterfall. And also it's easier to rise up this high with a biofall instead of trying to pack soil up all the way up. So a couple of different reasons we're using a biofall on this. Stay tuned and we'll show you how that turns out. We're starting off day 3 here, starting to run the 3-inch plumbing. It's in a tough situation in between two rocks. We got to get a lot of soil over on that side of the waterfall. We don't have access from one side. So we want to keep it as easy as possible to get the plumbing in there and also backfill that area properly with soil without having to carry tons and tons of buckets. The plumbing actually comes up behind this rock here and that big boulder over there. Right in between there, we left enough space. We might have to add a little 45-degree elbow in there so there's not too much stress on the glue joint. We just laid the pipe down in between those two rocks. Let's see what we need to do. You notice once again, Raphael is using that Schedule 40 PVC to glue in between the two fittings. We prefer that than the flex pipe. It's a way better seal when it's a short little stub of pipe like that, especially when you're using 3-inch pipe. We're at the point where the biofalls are going to be set in. Once again, I said it's a pondless waterfall because we're going so high. It's easier using a 6,000 biofall and a 2,500 over here. They'll face in two different directions. The guys are just getting them leveled, and then we can finish gluing up the plumbing. DiMarino out of Tuxedo, New York is going to be here with a whole bunch of soil for us, so we can fill in all around the back sides of these biofalls, get them all packed in, and we can finish the waterfalls. That 3-inch line right there will feed the 6,000 biofall. The smaller 2-inch line will wrap around and feed the 2,500 biofall. We will have access to a ball valve to adjust the flow coming out of the 2,500 biofall. The reason the 2,500 will need a ball valve is because it will be sitting at a lower height. Our topsoil has arrived. If we have any extra, we could just bale it over here for the homeowner, but I think a lot of it will be used in that mound and cleaning up the yard. Ran into a large boulder that's sticking out of the ground a little too high. Finished the waterfall on the bottom section. So between demo saw, sledgehammer, and chisel, we're trying to break that high point out. So that second spillway is going in right up there. They're just gonna level that area out, and that's the 2,500 biofall. Over to the left is that 6,000. It's a really tight situation along the side of this pool edge, but man, when this thing turns on, I can't wait to see it. If you like what you saw in today's video, press that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell. It means a lot to me and my team here at Garden State Koi. Thanks for watching. See you next week.